Most people think social media is simply a place for entertainment, communication, and self expression. They see it as a harmless part of modern life where people share photos, opinions, achievements, and daily experiences with the world. But for empaths, social media often feels very different. What most people experience as casual interaction can become emotionally exhausting for someone who absorbs emotional energy deeply. Every post, every comment, every reaction, and every emotional atmosphere hidden behind the screen becomes something their mind quietly processes, whether they want to or not. This is one of the biggest reasons many empaths remain quiet online. While others are focused on gaining attention, empaths are often focused on protecting their peace. They understand something that most people fail to notice. Attention always comes with emotional access. The more visible a person becomes, the more emotional energy they invite into their lives. Every reaction from another person carries emotional weight. Praise creates pressure. Criticism creates emotional tension. Even silence from others can trigger overthinking and emotional analysis inside the empath's mind. Most social media platforms are designed around visibility. The more people share, the more validation they receive. Likes, followers, comments, and reactions slowly become connected to self-worth for many users. Over time, people begin measuring their value through public approval. But empaths often recognize this emotional trap much earlier than others. They notice how unstable happiness becomes when it depends on strangers reacting positively to them. They notice how quickly peace disappears when self-worth becomes attached to external validation. Because empaths naturally process emotions deeply, even small interactions can stay with them for hours or days. A simple negative comment can replay repeatedly in their mind long after everyone else has forgotten it. A tense interaction online can affect their emotional state far longer than people realize. While many individuals scroll through social media without absorbing much emotionally, empaths absorb emotional atmospheres automatically. They feel the energy behind words, hidden emotions behind posts, and emotional tension hidden beneath online behavior. That is why many empaths slowly begin becoming more private. They stop sharing every detail of their lives. They become selective about who receives access to their personal thoughts and emotions. This silence is often misunderstood by others. People assume empaths are insecure, shy, antisocial, or emotionally distant. But in reality, many empaths are simply emotionally aware. They understand the emotional cost of constant exposure. Privacy becomes a form of emotional protection. Instead of constantly performing online, empaths begin valuing emotional stability more than public attention. They realize that peace is far more valuable than visibility. And perhaps that is why some of the deepest, most emotionally intelligent people are often the quietest online. Most people believe emotional exhaustion only comes from difficult conversations, stressful relationships, or problems in real life. But empaths understand something that many people never fully realize. Emotional exhaustion can happen silently through a screen. Social media may appear harmless on the surface, but for emotionally sensitive people, it can become one of the most mentally draining environments in modern life. Every single day, people are exposed to an endless stream of emotional stimulation online. Happiness, anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety, frustration, excitement, conflict, sadness, insecurity, and comparison all appear within seconds of each other. One moment, someone is celebrating success. The next moment, another person is sharing emotional pain. Then comes negativity, arguments, shocking news, attention-seeking behavior, or emotional drama designed to trigger reactions. Most people scroll through these emotional shifts quickly, without noticing how deeply they affect the mind. But empaths absorb these emotional atmospheres differently. Even when they are not consciously focused on every post, their nervous systems continue processing emotional information in the background. They feel tension hidden behind words. They sense emotional instability behind fake smiles. They notice sadness disguised as humor and insecurity hidden beneath confidence. Their minds naturally collect emotional energy from the environments around them, including digital environments. This is why many empaths suddenly feel mentally exhausted after spending time online. They may not even understand why they feel emotionally heavy, irritated, anxious, or drained, but their minds have quietly processed hundreds of emotional signals throughout the day. While other people move on quickly, empaths continue carrying pieces of emotional energy that never belonged to them in the first place. Psychologists sometimes describe this experience through something called emotional contagion. Human emotions naturally spread between people. A negative environment affects everyone inside it. Anxiety spreads through groups. Stress influences moods. And social media multiplies this effect constantly because emotional content never stops appearing. Empaths are often extremely sensitive to these emotional transfers, even when they are invisible to others. That is why many empaths eventually begin pulling away from social media without warning. Other people assume they are becoming distant or antisocial, but the reality is often much deeper. Empaths withdraw because their emotional systems become overloaded. They need silence. They need emotional recovery. They need space away from constant stimulation so their minds can finally feel calm again. Over time, many empaths become highly selective about what they allow into their digital lives. They unfollow negativity. They reduce emotional noise. They avoid unnecessary drama and conflict. While the world encourages endless connection and constant stimulation, empaths slowly discover something powerful. Protecting peace is not weakness. For emotionally sensitive people, peace becomes survival. One of the biggest differences between empaths and most people is that empaths are not deeply interested in attention. What they truly seek is connection. And while those two things may appear similar on the surface, psychologically they are completely different. Attention is temporary. It can come from strangers who know nothing about a person's real identity. But connection requires emotional understanding. It requires honesty, trust, emotional safety, and genuine presence. Empaths naturally crave this deeper form of human interaction, which is why social media often leaves them emotionally unsatisfied. Most social media platforms are built around visibility. People are encouraged to constantly share their lives, opinions, achievements, relationships, and emotions in exchange for reactions from others. The system rewards exposure. More likes create more validation. More engagement creates a stronger feeling of importance. Over time, many people begin confusing attention with emotional connection. They believe being seen means being understood. But empaths quickly recognize that these are not the same thing at all. An empath can receive hundreds of reactions online and still feel emotionally disconnected. Why? Because attention without understanding feels empty to them. Surface-level compliments, temporary praise, and public approval rarely satisfy their deeper emotional needs. What they truly desire is authenticity. They want conversations that feel real. They want relationships where masks are unnecessary. They want emotional honesty instead of performance. This is why many empaths become uncomfortable sharing personal details online. It is not because they are ashamed of themselves. In many cases, they simply do not see emotional value in exposing their private world to large audiences who have not earned emotional trust. Empaths tend to open up slowly because emotional vulnerability feels extremely significant to them. They understand that allowing someone into their inner world should happen carefully, not casually. Psychologists often describe healthy emotional connection as gradual self-disclosure built over time. Trust develops slowly through consistency, understanding, and emotional safety. Empaths naturally follow this pattern. They prefer meaningful conversations with trusted people rather than public emotional exposure. While many individuals chase online visibility, empaths often protect their emotional boundaries quietly. This behavior is frequently misunderstood. People sometimes assume empaths are distant, mysterious, or emotionally unavailable. But the truth is usually the opposite. Empaths often feel emotions so deeply that they become highly selective about who receives access to their energy and vulnerability. They understand that emotional openness without boundaries can become emotionally damaging. Over time, many empaths begin valuing depth over popularity. One genuine conversation becomes more meaningful than thousands of empty reactions. One emotionally safe relationship becomes more valuable than endless public attention. And eventually they realize something most people spend years trying to understand. Real connection cannot be measured through followers, likes, or visibility. Real connection is felt emotionally, not publicly. Empaths are often misunderstood because people mistake silence for weakness. In reality, silence is usually where the empath sees the most. While many people use social media as a stage for attention, empaths often use it as a window into human behavior. They observe constantly. They notice emotional patterns, hidden insecurities, changes in tone, contradictions between words and actions, and emotional tension that most people completely overlook. This observer mindset becomes natural for them over time. From an early age, many empaths become highly aware of the emotions around them. They notice when someone says they are fine while secretly hurting inside. They notice forced smiles, fake confidence, emotional manipulation, and hidden sadness beneath humor. Because their minds naturally process emotional information deeply, they spend far more time observing than reacting. Social media simply gives them another environment where this ability becomes even stronger. Every post tells a story to an empath. Every comment reveals emotional motivation. Every online interaction exposes pieces of human nature. While most users focus on being noticed, empaths often focus on understanding why people behave the way they do. They notice who is desperate for validation. They notice who hides loneliness behind constant posting. They notice who uses confidence to cover insecurity. They notice emotional pain hidden beneath anger and emotional emptiness hidden beneath attention-seeking behavior. This is one reason many empaths feel less interested in constantly posting about themselves. Their attention naturally moves outward instead of inward. They are often more curious about understanding people than promoting themselves. While social media encourages performance, empaths frequently become emotionally exhausted by it. They recognize how much energy people spend trying to maintain images that may not reflect reality. Over time, many empaths begin pulling away from this performance culture. They realize that constantly managing how others see them can slowly disconnect people from their authentic selves. The more someone focuses on maintaining an image, the easier it becomes to lose touch with genuine emotions and inner truth. Empaths sense this danger strongly. That is why they often choose observation over performance. Observing gives them emotional clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively, they pause and reflect. They gather emotional information before forming conclusions. While others rush to express opinions, empaths usually prefer understanding the full picture first. This habit allows them to develop deeper insight into relationships, emotions, and human psychology. People sometimes assume quiet individuals are less engaged with the world, but many empaths are deeply engaged. They simply engage differently. Their participation happens through awareness rather than visibility. They are learning while others are performing. They are watching while others compete for attention. And often, the less an empath speaks online, the more deeply they are understanding everything happening beneath the surface. Most people underestimate how emotionally exhausting constant accessibility can become. Social media has created a world where people are expected to always be available, always responsive, and always emotionally present. Messages arrive at every hour. Notifications constantly demand attention. Conversations never fully end. And while many people adapt to this environment without questioning it, empaths often experience it very differently. For them, every interaction requires emotional energy, mental focus, and psychological processing. Empaths naturally absorb emotional information from the people around them. This means even simple conversations can leave emotional weight behind. A friend sharing stress, a stranger expressing negativity, someone seeking emotional support, or constant exposure to conflict online can slowly drain an empath's nervous system. While others may recover quickly from emotional interactions, empaths often continue processing those emotions long after the interaction has ended. Over time, this creates emotional fatigue. Most social media platforms encourage unlimited access between people. Boundaries become blurred. Anyone can send messages, share problems, demand attention, or expect emotional responses instantly. At first, many empaths try to handle all of it because they genuinely care about people. They want to help. They want to listen. They want to support others emotionally. But eventually they begin realizing something painful. Constant emotional availability comes with hidden psychological psychological costs. The more emotionally accessible an empath becomes, the more emotional burdens they unconsciously begin carrying. Other people's stress becomes their stress. Other people's pain enters their emotional world. Expectations grow heavier. Emotional exhaustion increases quietly until their minds and bodies finally reach a breaking point. This is why many empaths suddenly begin distancing themselves from certain people, online environments, or constant social interaction. Outsiders sometimes misunderstand this behavior and assume the empath has become cold, distant, or emotionally detached. But the truth is often much deeper. The empath is not rejecting people. They are trying to protect their emotional health before burnout completely consumes them. Eventually, many empaths discover the importance of boundaries. They realize compassion without limits becomes self-destruction. They learn they cannot carry everyone's emotional pain while ignoring their own well-being. This awareness changes their relationship with social media and human interaction entirely. They stop giving unlimited access to their energy. They reduce unnecessary emotional exposure. They become selective about who receives their time, attention, and emotional investment. They begin valuing peace more than popularity and emotional balance more than public approval. And perhaps this is one of the most powerful lessons empaths ever learn. Protecting energy is not selfish, it is necessary. Because when emotionally sensitive people fail to protect their inner world, the outside world slowly begins draining every part of who they are. At the deepest level, many empaths are not interested in building an image for the world. They're interested in being real. And in a society that constantly rewards appearance over authenticity, this mindset often makes them feel different from everyone around them. Social media encourages people to present carefully controlled versions of themselves. Photos are selected carefully. Emotions are filtered. Struggles are hidden. Success is exaggerated. People slowly begin creating identities designed to attract admiration, validation, and approval from strangers. But empaths often sense the emotional emptiness hidden inside this performance. They understand the difference between image and identity. An image is what people want others to see. Identity is who someone truly is when nobody is watching. Empaths naturally search for authenticity because emotional inconsistency feels uncomfortable to them. They notice when people pretend to be happy while secretly feeling lost inside. They notice when confidence is being used to hide insecurity. They notice when someone is performing strength instead of genuinely living it. Because of this awareness, many empaths begin losing interest in online performance. They no longer feel motivated to constantly prove themselves to others. They stop chasing validation through likes, attention, and public recognition because they realize these things rarely create genuine emotional fulfillment. Temporary attention may feed the ego for a moment, but it cannot create inner peace. Empaths crave something much deeper. They want conversations that feel honest. They want relationships where masks are unnecessary. They want emotional safety, trust, sincerity, and understanding. Surface-level attention rarely satisfies them because emotionally it feels incomplete. They know a person's true character cannot be measured through followers, popularity, or carefully edited moments online. Real personality reveals itself through consistency, honesty, emotional depth, and the way someone behaves when there is nothing to gain. This desire for authenticity changes the empath's entire relationship with social media. Instead of asking, "How can I impress people?" they begin asking, "Am I staying true to myself?" That question becomes more important than public approval. Over time, many empaths stop performing for the world completely. They become more private, more selective, and more intentional about what they share. They realize that protecting authenticity sometimes requires distance from environments that reward superficiality. And the more self-aware they become, the less interested they feel in pretending to be someone they are not. This is where real confidence finally begins to appear. Not loud confidence that constantly seeks attention, but quiet confidence rooted in self-awareness. The kind of confidence that does not depend on applause, validation, or recognition. The kind that remains strong even when nobody notices it. And perhaps that is why some of the most emotionally intelligent people are often the least visible online. Because true self-worth does not need an audience to exist.